Miss Stacy, are you over there all by your own self? Oh my goodness. You'll do a great job.
I'm just waiting for Sebastian to tell me he's ready.
Has to be a little bit bigger than that, Sebastian. For old eyes.
Broke my glasses this weekend, so I can't see. I gotta go to the doctor to get new glasses. I might get them tomorrow.
Randy,
Add that onto your list.
you see my message that I'm,
I did, yep.
okay,
Yep, I did, thank you.
no problem.
Did you get upset on the sidelines over the weekend?
No,
Okay.
my team.
I would say you look like you guys won.
We won. We won.
The other
We finally
field,
showed
the
up.
other field wasn't as pretty, so
How bad did it fare? What was the
53
final?
to nothing.
You guys have any momentum at all? Not one drive.
No, I made fun of the Chains guys. They didn't move past the 20 line
Sebastian,
the
are
entire
we-
game, so
Did,
You ready?
yeah. Okay, it was rough. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the time and place for the regular school board meeting for the Marshalltown Community School District. It's October 2, 2023. Welcome to those of you joining us here in person. Welcome as well to anybody who might be tuning in and watching via the live stream. Before we go any farther, we'll do introductions of our board members here this evening. Starting to my right, we have Zach Wall and Bonnie Lowry. And to my left, Karina Hernandez and Leah Stanley. Joining me at the center table to my left, Dr. Theron Schutte, the Superintendent of Schools, and to my right, Mr. Randy Denham, the Board Secretary, and I am Sean Heitman. Couple other housekeeping items. We've got a pink sign-up sheet there for anybody who wants to give or speak at public comment. Please understand, you will be given 5 minutes to address the board. Please understand that Iowa law prohibits the discussion of specific employees of the district or their job performance. Also, in accordance with board policy, board members may not respond to your comments so that we can comply with open meeting laws. With those announcements out of the way, would you all please join me in reading the mission statement of the Marshalltown School District? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And would you all please stand as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
There are not.
And we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Stanley Lowry, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Abby, you have some recognitions for us?
I'm going to ask Legends American Grill manager Brady Rideout to come up. So Legends American Grill manager Brady Rideout is here tonight to present a donation to activities director Ryan Isgrig, raised by the burger battle and restaurant sales of the Bobcat Burger, for which every $1 purchase goes towards Marshalltown High School activities. Brady, I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit more.
Not a ton. We had a great year this year. This is the first year that we decided to bring forth a battle with the Marshall County schools. So you have Marshalltown, East Marshall, West Marshall. And creating that battle not only increased, obviously, sales for us, but it also was a fun battle. I have a lot of friends that go to East Marshall, a lot of friends that go to Marshalltown. And it actually increased the burgers, the Bobcat burgers that we would have sold during that time frame as well. One day a week we did a double dollar day, so Marshalltown was Wednesday. So anytime that if we sold a burger, instead of the $1, you got a $2 donation. Each school got their own opportunity for that. So moving forward, we're gonna do it this year again. Marshtown didn't win this year, but there's gonna be a traveling trophy. We already have the trophy. It actually is gonna get presented to East Marshall in a couple weeks. They won the first year, and then on the traveling trophy, it's kind of like the Floyd of Rosedale. It's gonna have all the plaques on the whole side. So whether you wanna keep that trophy in the closet all year, I just need it back one time a year to present it to whoever else gets it. So it's fun. I appreciate you guys letting me use your name and create the burger for you guys, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Okay. I always feel like Chandler Bing trying to smile. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brady.
And then Dr. Schutte, I don't know if you want to handle the next recognition for,
Yeah, we can have, just have Daisy come forward and then we'll connect in Natalie and Deanna. We have 3 applicants that are coming before the board for approval to be student school board representatives for the 2023-2024 school year. And so I asked our 3 candidates to share a little bit about themselves, their name, their year in school, activity, their parents, activities they're involved with. One of the 3 girls I think the board will be very familiar with because it's a returning student school board rep from last year. But Natalie, you want to kick things off and set the stage here for Daisy and Deanna? We can hear you.
Excuse, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so we're just asking for the candidates for student school board representatives to share a little bit about themselves, even though our board knows you. You can kind of model for the other girls, talking about who you are, what grade you are in school,
Okay.
who your parents are.
So as you guys know, I go to Mark. So as you guys know, I served on the panel last year. My name is Natalie Andrade. I am a senior this year, and some things I'm involved in is Student Senate, Ash Coalition, and right now I'm on my way to. So that is why I can't be with you right now.
Okay.
How about all the different activities that you're involved in this year?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, can you talk a little bit about all the different activities that you're involved in last year, one of which is a conflict that you're having to zoom in on today?
Yeah. So some of the activities I did last year were soccer as well for the high school. And another thing that I did was Ash Coalition was basically like a student panel where you like talk about how the district can improve on getting resources to students and family. Student Senate is very involved in the school as well, like school events, planning trick or treat, and other things like that, like school spirit especially. Last year, I also had the opportunity to be on the school board, and we went to the state school board conference, and that was really cool to see and kind of understand the importance of every school board and what their role is in the community.
All right. Do you want to turn over to Deanna, who I believe is traveling with you, right?
Hi, my name is Deanna Hernandez. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a senior at Marshalltown High School, and this is my first year being a school board, student school board. So, I'm kind of excited. No, I am excited. And I know Natalie mentioned being part of the Ash Coalition, and I was a part of it with her for some time. And I'm also a part of National Honor Society and then TRIO. I've worked with Alexito from then and there with, especially with Mujeres. Me and Natalie are a part of Mujeres. And then I'd say one of the biggest kind of events I've joined throughout the high school was probably last year. I was a part of the National Scholastic Writing Contest, and I got the honorable mention, and it was just really cool, like knowing that people got to read my writing piece, and yeah.
All right, thank you. And Daisy.
Yeah, is it working? Okay.
Yep.
Hello, my name is Daisy Covarrubias, and I am a 12th grade this year. So a little bit about myself, I guess, is that I am a bit involved at school. So I'm in NHS, and I'm like the secretary, and so I'm involved in helping administering kind of what we're going to be talking about. So tomorrow we're actually having our meeting, and we're going to be talking about the blood drive and kind of motivating people to participate, along with other kind of fundraising ideas and like new service projects that we want to do. I'm also involved in the Student Rotarians and have been there since last year, along with Alexito and NHI. And then apart from school, I am involved in a couple of other service projects. So I'm doing a catechist, so it's like where I'm teaching a group of students a little bit about their faith. And so it's usually it can be kind of stressful because we have to be in charge of like 30 students per group. And luckily this year it's been a little less of people. And so we don't have to handle that stress and stuff. But it's been really enjoyable. And then I work at the Veterans Home, and it's something that I really wanted to do because as an RA, I get that experience of working with the residents, getting to know everybody, and it's something that I feel is going to help me with my career path, which is becoming a nurse. And so hopefully along my path, I get to be like a nurse practitioner, specialize in a type of nursing. And yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
I think Deanna mentioned that too, about medical pathway.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. Well, thank you very much. We'll have the board take official action on your guys' positions. And I think, from what I understand, we may have another applicant for consideration too, but I think that Natalie and Deanna may have to zoom in a bit here this fall due to activities and stuff, which I said would be perfectly fine if they're able to participate in the report outs from the students and then hopefully watch the recording to see what they missed. Mm-hmm. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do a quick overview of the information items. So kind of with the information items, two really cool news opportunities. One that came up with KCCI was featuring our mariachi bands, both Miller and high school, on September 21st in a feature story in relation to Hispanic Heritage Month coverage that they are doing. I was there in person watching the reporter kind of interact with our students and with our band directors. Both the directors and the students were phenomenal representatives of Marshalltown schools. They really did a great job representing who we are and telling their story. I do not have a date yet of when that story is airing on KCCI, but I know it is this week, so definitely tune in to KCCI to see that. And then the other news item that's going to become a reoccurring feature series is Bobcat Spotlight with the Times Republican. One of the sports reporters is taking the lead with that one, kind of featuring the stories of our high school students involved in activities other than sports. So esports kids, student senate, really the works. So really a great opportunity to or share the story of our students that, not always have the opportunity to end up in the newspaper, but are really great representatives of our districts. So totally feel free to email me if you hear, a student in our district that's really rocking it, really doing great things within their activity. And then finally, today is National Custodian Day. Marshalltown Community School District would like to acknowledge the custodial team who ensures that all of our buildings are kept clean and safe every day. We deeply appreciate the dedicated work that they do for our staff and students. So if you know one of the custodians in the building, totally feel free to text or email them, say, hey, I appreciate your work.
Yeah, and I did a little shout out on the radio this morning. So I checked with HR and we have 38 custodians in the district currently, and I think there's room for 8 or 10 more. So if you know anyone that wants to join this phenomenal team, we'd love to have them jump on board. I think that we did have a few candidates come through the walk-in interview, so hopefully we've got some viable people to bring to the team in the next week or two. So.
Abby, for that Bobcat Spotlight, is that for a student or a group of students?
For one particular student.
Okay.
So it's kind of features one student per week. So I'm doing my best to find names of, students that are really rocking it. So I've contacted Jackie Wyant and Ryan Isgrig to kind of get some initial names, but I know there's so many phenomenal kids in our district that I would love to really build up that list so the TR has a good stream.
Thanks.
Thanks, Abby. Looking at the consent agenda, we've got minutes from the board meeting on September 19 and from the work session on September 19. Dr. Ryan's not here tonight, but she did indicate that there were no items of note in the personnel agenda. We've got interagency agreements and contracts, a memorandum of understanding with Al Exito to provide tutoring, mentoring, after-school, and academic enrichment opportunities at Marshalltown High School. State of Iowa Department of Health and Human Services contract amendment to revise the contract total. That's the PrEP contract, right?
Yes.
A granite letter of agency to switch to cellular lines for fax elevator and emergencies, and a data sharing agreement with Stalzer Photography. Are there questions about any of those agreements? Looking at open enrollments, there are 7, 3 out and 4 in. Randy, anything to note in the bills?
No.
Any questions for Randy about the bills? We need to approve the $1,566 donation from Legends American Grill to the Athletics or Activities Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Steve, I assume that you're on, I can't see the pink sheet, but I assume you're on the pink sheet? Yep. Come on up.
Should we synchronize the timer?
No, I push start when you start talking.
No. Okay. Wait, don't start it yet.
Oh,
Okay, go. Hey, thanks again for being here tonight. My name is Steve Hinderhofer. I teach over at Miller Middle School. I do 8th grade health education and life skills. It's been a while since I've been here. I just, again, can start with just a thank you for employment and signing the checks. And it is an absolute honor to work here in Marshalltown and at Miller. We have a great group of kids and a great staff, and it's pretty neat to get to drive in every day and do what we do. I'm actually I'm here on behalf of myself and Miller. I grew up on the East Coast, and I came out this way to go to UNI and get an education. I got an education. I didn't get the master's degree. I met a blonde-haired, blue-eyed farm girl and never went back. We lived in Grundy Center. We had a small garden, and that eventually expanded and expanded until it was like, that's not big enough. We should move to the country, which is about the same time I came to Miller. And that's just part of the story. When I was at Miller, I noticed that on lunch duty, we were serving kids awesome lunches, as Lynn and her team do. But I also noticed that we were throwing away a lot of food. And I've brought this to the board before. And I'm trying to find a pathway to help get that food usage in the right direction. I was asked a couple weeks back to stop collecting the food at lunch. I would talk with kids and stand by the garbage and say, hey, if you're not going to drink that milk, then come on over, your banana peels or your half-eaten apple. Because on the farm, when we have extra food, we feed it to the pigs. And if Superman's superpower is flying and mine is being able to have a group of 30 eighth graders sit in a room nice and quiet and listen, a pig's superpower is to make food into bacon and pork chops and all the things that we love to do. I was given several reasons for discontinuing this, and they were all totally legit reasons. From Mrs. Large, who's been super patient with me. Like, she really is amazing. But she said, food purchased for the purpose of school meals is federally funded. School district must use discretion as to the appropriateness of any intended use of the food. Time involved in this process would pose a conflict with your work duties. As a school district, we exist to serve the public purpose. The practice of saving food scraps for personal use would not be in alignment with the district's public purpose policy. Saving food scraps could be viewed as a financial fringe benefit that is not offered to any other district employee, taxpayer, creating an issue of equity and ethics. There are many sanitation concerns, and there's liability concerns too. For those things, I apologize. I didn't ever intend to break the law or to cause harm or to put us in jeopardy. Some things I want to do are illegal. But mostly that involves like saving food scraps and waste. And when we see commercials where 1 in 7 kids are going hungry, and there was 30 new signups at Miller for the food pantry, there's a way we can turn that food, which could be upwards of 80 pounds a day, just at Miller, into something usable. And you can put this on the category of back burner or totally crazy, but I know there's a way to do that. And I feel like this has invigorated me to start some more conversations. I'd love to talk more about how we can get through some of the red tape and move forward. I think we can make a path. I think we can find a way. I think we can, according to that video, we can embrace the lead here and do something really special in Marshalltown. We can actually turn something that's garbage into something that's useful and actually benefit some of the community members. Like I said, there's a lot to do, and I'm not in a rush. I have lots of patience. I'm committed to this community. I live here. I work here. I church here. My kids enjoy the community. I stop at the Villa Schwato on the way home on Fridays, and I visit Yanni at Opaz, and the Moroccan families have come to our house to butcher sheep in the halal fashion. I even met a gal the other day that said her mom would be interested in coming to the farm and taking care of our extra laying hens, which I thought was fantastic. So I'm committed to that. I'm committed to bugging you just a little bit. I am not here to pick a fight. You're not the British. I'm not the Scots. This isn't Braveheart. But I think there's some good stuff out there, and I'm excited to do crazy things like have chickens on campus and talk to the city council and let us have a pig next to the cafe, because that's how they used to do it. Someone came to the farm the other day with the time that we have left here. He said, your farm looks a lot like how we used to do it 70 years ago. Everyone had a cow or two and a couple pigs and some chickens, and they took value in what they did. I think we can show the kids again what value we can take in our food and who's producing it and who's making it and who's helping us along. So with that, I thank you again, and I look forward to hearing from you. Someone send me an email, reach out, let's talk, come to the farm, pet a cow, scratch a pig, whatever. We'd love to have you out just to see what it could look like, and I think there's a way. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Shauna?
I don't need the clicker, do I? Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. Okay. This is fancy here. Normally I don't get to control it. Okay, so Dr. Schutte and I have been thinking that it's about time that I come forward and really update you on our extended comprehensive schools and the progress that we've made so far. I know that every once in a while we talk about our comprehensive schools. For example, last board meeting, we came forward and asked about the CKLA site visits, and I mentioned that that's a part of our action plan. But really, I wanted to bring forward the goals that we have for our two extended schools, and we have both our principals and instructional coaches here with us tonight. So they can correct me if I do anything wrong up here. And then Erica Finders as well, who has been essential in helping me set up all of the CKLA work that we've been doing. Okay, so to start with, I wanted to show you what you would find if you were to just Google Iowa School Performance Profile. And if you did that for any of our schools, Anson Elementary is the first one that we're looking at, and then we'll dive into Rogers as well. You would have some sort of a circle graph that you see there, and there would be a point system in there, and it would be comparative to the state average. And those points maybe don't mean a whole lot to you right now, but really there's this formula behind the scenes, and there's different categories that are highly weighted. 3 of the most highly weighted categories are growth in ELA from 3rd to 4th grade for elementary schools on ISASP, growth in math, again on ISASP from 3rd to 4th grade, and then conditions for learning. Some of the other categories are like participation in those assessments. So you can get 5 points for having 95% of your kids just simply taking the test. But the 18% weighting is really important. So we have both Anson and Rogers are on an extended comprehensive status, which means they were on that comprehensive status the first, and we'll look at this here, for 3 years, and actually it ended up being 4 because we had COVID over the middle of that. And then last year, the department came out with another round of here are your statuses. So here's Rogers. It looks very similar to the profile for Anson, and like I said, you would find that for every single school. It is public knowledge for literally every building in the state of Iowa. So you can see our county, our school type, the grade levels that are served. Notice that preschool is not a part of the profile. Even though we do serve preschool, it's not a part of it. And then the number of students that are served. So you might be wondering, over time, what has that really looked like for these 2 schools that are on the extended status? And I tried to do my best with my graphics. I know you guys like those. So these brackets are showing the first 3 years of that comprehensive status, and you notice there's 2 twos because we had a COVID year and there weren't, essentially they extended it because the Iowa ISASP wasn't given in the spring of 2020. And then last year, we were actually on year 1 for this extended comprehensive status, even though the scores or the determination doesn't come out until mid-year. So we're still waiting to hear our actual number or our score from last year's results. We should know those in December, and we're very hopeful that we're going to be taking a climb upward. But you can really see in general just kind of where these statistics have fallen for both Anson and Rogers. And you see a decline for both of the buildings, which then this was the year that, that seam is for that comprehensive status to be assigned again. I really do believe that if that would have happened in this year, we wouldn't have had a comprehensive school at all. But of course, it's every 3 years. So we won't have more comprehensive schools assigned to us for this next upcoming year. That's going to be in a 3-year increment. So we have 3 years to get these 2 buildings off of this comprehensive, extended comprehensive status. And the state, the wonderful department, has changed the formula every time that they've kind of given us our points. So even though this looks like apples to apples, it's a lot more like apples to oranges because the weighting behind the scenes is different. So the conditions for learning, for example, moved from 6%, the 6th percentile to 18th percentile. It just like jumped or was multiplied by 3 in the scoring. So when you look at this decline, it's not as simple as saying, oh yeah, our test, our literacy scores went down. It's the overall formula behind the scenes was actually changed on us, although that's true for everyone in the state of Iowa. The formula is the formula for every school district. So you might be wondering, what are we doing? And there's a lot that we've been doing. Anson has 3 actions or 3 goals, and we've really been working with the department. It's been a great collaboration between not only the department, but also Central Rivers AEA and then our leadership teams at the schools. So you'll see some similarities between the 2 schools and what the department actually recommended after they had their site visit with us. And I've highlighted in yellow, these are the areas of these goals that we really are diving in head first right now. So CKLA coaching cycles, not only is Jen Nelson performing coaching cycles with our teachers on site at Anson, but we're also bringing in those on-site CKLA coaches as well. And you'll see here in a little bit, we have an outline where we're doing monthly classroom visits with the department. You'll see here that in Goal 2, we're looking at quality instructional materials and practices. So 100% of our students at benchmark are meeting their growth. 80% of students below benchmark will experience accelerated growth on A reading. So it's really focusing in on those fast scores. And then sheltered instruction, SIOP, you might have heard that over and over. It's really an instructional framework that is a foundation for Marshalltown and really focuses in on our English learners and what they need. So you'll see that we're really focusing on the practices within instruction as well, and that's going to be a walkthrough tool that we'll be using in our classrooms. Teachers will receive our training on October 9th at Anson relative to SIOP, and then we'll be using that walkthrough tool with the department and Central Rivers AEA. Rogers is very similar, so like I said, you'll see some overlap here, but we have, again, some comprehensive training around CKLA and Amplify. I didn't mention either for Anson, but this was true for all schools. We've already had 2 full days of CKLA training for all teachers this school year, so really trying to hit a refresh button with them. And we have
just to clarify, so CKLA is core knowledge, language arts, literacy.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so that's I call it like our top shelf literacy curriculum. It really is high quality, and the department said that right away when they came in and they saw us using it. They were really excited that we had it as our universal tier. So we have a tight loose document that basically says what teachers must implement within that literacy curriculum. It's not okay to leave it on the shelf and do your own novel study. We really do want to make sure that we have the same experiences for our students in every classroom, and those are aligned to grade level standards. We are also focusing at Rogers on just 100% of our teachers participating in coaching cycles, and I know Claire is here as well. She's already got those set up, and she's been starting that work with them. But really, if you look at the overall picture, we're looking at implementation in both of these buildings focused on literacy and spending a lot of time in classrooms while we do that. Teachers will receive not only building-wide feedback, but also individual feedback, and we are in a math adoption this year, so you might be wondering why not math? Well, math is coming, but we felt like literacy was the better place to start. So these are the dates that the department will be in the buildings, and there's this red dotted line because we will be half a day at Rogers, half a day at Anson, and we'll be flip-flopping those. So you see every single month we've got a day set aside, and then about 3.5 to 4 hours in every building. Dr. Schutte will be joining us for the debrief. So we're basically in the morning, or at the meeting, we kind of get our ducks in a row, who's going where, making sure we're not overlapping each other, using either the CKLA implementation tool or the SIAP walkthrough tool. We get out into classrooms, we collect data, we, basically gather the feedback that we want to give to the teachers, and then we'll have a 1-hour debrief together as a team.
Can you explain who's on those visit teams?
Yep, so the principal, the instructional coach, myself, Jen Segrist, who's with the Central Rivers AEA. Who am I forgetting? Erica Finders, Kim Hurley, and Dennis McLean from the department.
So one person from the department?
One person. Yes.
When they came in and did the walkthrough and the audits, there was a boatload of people. It was like, 15, 20 people, but we have one liaison that's working directly with us.
Okay. And we are, you can only imagine how much knowledge we want to build in that department person,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot of catch up,
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
we're trying to be really strategic about pairing him with instructional coaches or just people who are able to really backfill, so they know what's happening in the classrooms, they know what's intentional that's happening there, and then hopefully then by the end of this exercise, over the course of the 9 months, we're able to really see a lot of progress that's happening. So there's just some documents that are listed here. I know that I have used some acronyms that maybe aren't familiar to you, but also I just wanted to make sure that those are available if you want to take a look. The tight loose parameters are basically how to implement our literacy curriculum. That's not only for our two comprehensive buildings, but every single building in the district that uses CKLA is working from this. This is a tracker, and I actually brought hard copies. I thought maybe you'd be interested. It's really detailed. That really helps anyone who's observing to see and kind of work through a checklist of this is what's happening, or this is what's not happening according to Amplify. Again, looking for really high quality literacy instruction. And then this instructional coaching tracker is, I don't know if I can get this to open. Nope. Because it's not my account. So this is really just a spreadsheet that has everybody's name listed, and it'll have pre-conference, observation, post-conference, but essentially just making sure that nothing's slipping through the cracks. We're always very careful and thoughtful about protecting the confidentiality of our teachers and the support that they need to grow, and not making it look or appear or feel evaluative. We want to make sure that we keep the high quality staff that we know we have in these buildings and who are doing an amazing job. I'm not super, I feel like the label comprehensive can be really hard on a morale to begin with, and we want to make sure that we continue to build each other up, and every single success we have, we want to celebrate together. And I really have been impressed and happy to be able to work with everybody that's behind me on all of these wonderful tasks that I do think are going to be, our students will benefit from. So that's the update. Any questions that you have for me, or, we've got principals, coaches, Erica's in the room.
Not to put you on the spot, Ron, but is there anything you want to share about the process or anything thus far?
Can I share from here?
Yes.
Only if you
Microphone.
grab one of these microphones.
I'm bringing her with me. I don't do anything without her. Not to go into too much detail, because when we come back for our presentation in December, we're actually going to talk a lot about the steps we've taken and what it looked like before and what it looks like now. So if you saw the scores, we saw the decline the 1 year. And we know that one of our big factors was conditions for learning. So we met as a team and we talked about why. So, and a lot of it was, do our students really understand what we're asking them? So we made sure that the kids knew. Our counselor did a wonderful job about working with our third and fourth graders, because it's a very subjective survey. But I mean, we saw immediate success that way because last year our scores, we went from below the district and state average in every category to above the state average in all except for one category, and that one we were even. So we saw double-digit increases across the board in that one. Jen does a great job on the academic side, working with our teams, coaching cycles, working with those teachers. When we do our data days, we're really digging in now to where the kids have their deficiencies, not just a very general 10,000-foot view, but really looking at, okay, what do these kids need as far as intervention, and making sure that we have the right people in place for that one. We also use our tutoring program that's very strong. We have 15 people tutoring this time. So we have, starting in 2 weeks, we'll have 45 kids minimum being tutored. And we start with our kids that have the highest need. So, and the thing about morale is I think ours is fantastic. They're buying in. They saw it. We've been very transparent since day one about sharing scores and sharing the DE visits. And for instance, those days that you saw up there, our staff meetings will coordinate with those. So we'll meet with our staff the day after those visits so that we share every bit of data that they've got. So if there's something that we need to look at, we look at it, and everybody's buying in. It's actually, it's obviously a little bit stressful for all of us, but the attitude is fantastic. So, that's not me, that's not Jen, that's not one person, that's everybody. Jen does a fantastic job with the academic side. I've got a counselor that works on the SEL side that if she ever leaves, I'm gonna cry. So it's just everybody working together on it, and that's kind of been our motto from the beginning. It's, we're on the list, let's mourn for one day, and let's move on and get off the list.
Yeah, and I would say that for the first time in my career, the DE in reaching out related to the status of both Anson and Rogers reached out in a way of wanting to help and support versus just label and then leave it fully up to us to figure out what we needed to do. And they've really kind of backed that up, both with the time commitment they've put into taking a look at the current state and putting forward recommendations, and then having someone that's committed to being at Rogers and Anson and walking the walk through there. And then the other, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the help we're going to get in math from them.
Yeah, it's actually kind of exciting. So back when they came on site, the department came and kind of shared, oh, we would love to help you with your math adoption. And I'm like, okay, tell me what kind of support you can provide. And they thought that they could provide, funding for the entire math adoption. And I didn't forget that. I thought, well, gosh, that's the first time I've ever heard the department ever offer to pay for an adoption. And it might be the last time. So it was kind of convenient because they weren't really answering me. I kept checking in because I wanted it in writing. And I finally got it in writing, that hovering around $750,000 they're willing to pay for our K through 12 adoption, pending that we select something that's standard aligned. And I don't think that we would ever adopt anything that's not standard aligned. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity. And just thinking through the lens of maybe we can get high quality intervention materials that go right along with the core. I mean, there's just the opportunities that it offers is great. So we're really excited about that, and we actually have our second math adoption meeting coming up here soon. We did share that with our math team this last go around, and I think everybody's just a little bit shell shocked that we are in that position, but it's really exciting. So.
And thanks for being persistent. I don't know if you know it, but Shauna's pretty persistent if she wants to be. So.
It's so true.
Any questions from anybody?
No questions, just a comment. What an opportunity to have a professional learning community of a group of professional educators learning together and finding a way to strengthen your tool belts when you're in a classroom working with students who all their needs are different. And kudos to you for the tutoring and, moving down that path and finding a way to give those specific interventions. I think the hardest thing to do is to drill down and find those specific skills where remediation needs to be. And That takes time and it takes effort. So kudos to you. And those 45 students will sure benefit huge from that opportunity. So good work.
Pam, we gave Ronnie the chance to come up and talk. Do you want to come up and talk too? I just would hate for you to feel like you got left out of the fun.
I don't have a lot to add. I will just say that I feel equally excited with the group that I have, that I'm working with. And I do feel really excited about the fact that the department is totally in it with us, elbow to elbow. Nobody's looking down on anybody. That the AEA has been phenomenal. Of course, Sean has been very supportive, and it's just, you know, Claire and I have worked closely together, and I think we're feeling like this thing that we've been trying to get off the ground is, we're seeing it happen. So we're excited about that. And I think one of the shifts that I've noticed this year compared to maybe last year was, and I think I had a fear of the unknown as well, but that I feel like people are feeling like they recognize that their own efficacy. They know that they can do this, and they know that, similar to what Ronnie said, we're not feeling like there's something wrong with us. We're feeling like we all need to work together to just I think that everybody's excited about it. Do you have anything?
No, I've just really learned a lot through this experience. It's been, I mean, some people look at it in a certain way, but I've really, I'm learning a lot as an educator and going in with the growth mindset, so.
Absolutely, and that's what I've noticed with the teachers. And last year, they weren't opposed to it, they were just afraid of it because, but the department did a phenomenal job of saying, you know, we're coming to help, we're here to help, now we're here, you know, and we're like, okay. And I believed it because that's where I came from, so I felt a little bit, but I think that everybody feels that. And everybody also knows that we're looking at this big picture. We're not looking at this person and this person. That, you know, it's not a personnel issue. It's a whole team. It's a whole, everybody gives an effort. And I can definitely see that this will, I'm excited to see the growth. Very much excited. And I'm super excited about the math thing too. That is unheard of. That's a lot of
money.
That's a lot of change. So good for you for staying on it. But yes, we're excited, so. Anybody have any questions about Rogers?
Not specifically.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
So do you anticipate like spreading the wealth when you learn all these skills into the other elementaries as well?
So I think that might be one of my, like, I've been most impressed with. Our 4 buildings that aren't a part of this process have really come along for the ride. They don't have the department coming monthly like you see with those classroom visits, but the CKLA trainings, the CKLA on-site coaching, trying to think, is there anything else, Erica?
What was Saya?
Yes, yes. Yep, so we're really working on dissecting our data and looking at where are we really surpassing the state of Iowa with individual teams, and how can we help each other? So how can we help this second grade team see what's happening on this second grade team to really help PLCs even work more efficiently. So in general, I've just been overly impressed that it's not just 2 schools of the 6. They've all on their own decided, yeah, we want to be a part of that. And then even today, we talked about CKLA on-site visits, and we had a couple schools that said, I think I want another day, like not like back me off. Like, I think we want to bring them in more than what we have signed up for. So it's really exciting to look at. Everyone wants to grow, not just schools that have made this status. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome.
Dr. Schutte, anything more you want to say about the 3 student school board representatives?
No, we're super excited to have Natalie interested in returning and to have Deanna and Daisy be part of that team. So I'd highly recommend board approval, and then we'll get off and running with them at the next board meeting.
Anything else anybody else wants to say? Daisy, thanks for coming. We need a motion to approve Deanna Hernandez Carranza, Natalie Andrade, and Daisy. Make sure I get this right, okay? Or as close as I can. Covarrubias, Andrade as student school board representatives for the 23-24 school year as presented.
Move for approval. Second.
Hernandez, Lowry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Welcome. Goals.
Well, I can talk about superintendent goals. Sarah, Sean, and I met last week as part of the board agenda planning, and then just talked through a little bit of what we talked about with the board goals at the last board meeting. These can be adjusted or amended if there's other ideas that board members, particularly if they weren't at the board meeting, wish to add, or if something didn't get captured that was said. Again, with my goals, to the extent possible, I wanted to mirror the board goals, but I also wanted to be realistic about the efforts or initiatives that I'm having to commit a large amount of my time to. So of course, the student achievement one, and continuation of our work with addressing achievement gaps, which is essentially what Shauna was talking about. We're also continuing to move forward with accelerated learning, which will take time to get people at a point of complete understanding and proficiency in being able to adjust our curriculum and or our teaching and learning to accommodate accelerated learning. But I really feel like that's kind of something that's been missing, and it kind of came forward to us as part of COVID learning loss, but really it's a recipe to address achievement gaps, whether they're COVID related or not, which of course we've had with kids prior to COVID. Shauna had talked about the state's report card, and obviously all of our schools are given a score and a label as it relates to that. So we, kind of in conjunction with what Shauna said, you know, quite honestly, whenever these labels come out, I think most of our principals know on any given time, it could be their school that maybe gets a less than satisfactory label. So we want to make sure that all of our buildings are moving in the right direction relative to the score and the rubric for the scoring, but that ideally we want all schools to be at a satisfactory and above level. So I, like Shauna, am really proud of the fact that ever since I've been here, regardless of what the circumstance was, when the kind of help that we're talking about, that the DE and AA are giving us, whenever it's available and it's for a few buildings, usually all the other buildings want to participate to the extent possible as well and learn and grow and benefit from that. And then the district strategic plan, which will be a huge focus for this fall so that we can get that revised and off the ground when the new year comes next January, February timeframe. I also put in there, as you know, we have a district communication and marketing plan. So particularly working with Abby, want to move things forward, continuation of really highlighting the points of pride of our district, which I think we've done a really good job of in the past, but I know Abby brings a lot of cool ideas for how we can even further that effort, talk about daily really the great things that our kids and staff members are doing. And then also, as part of or a supplement to our district crisis plan, coming up with a separate crisis communication plan, which will be an easy-to-use collection for all of our administrators, in addition to the district administrators, to be able to craft timely messages related to different issues that may come up. We have a lot of that embedded within the plan, but we want to pull together a separate plan just for that purpose. And that was a recommendation of INSPRA also when we had the audit. And then also key focus on improvement in our internal as well as external communications to try to figure out how we can best at the building level as well as the district level put out the positive things that are happening, keep parents informed. And we consistently hear when we survey our parents that, you know, district-wise, we're doing a good job at getting the word out, but most importantly, they want to hear from their buildings where their kids are attending, and to try to provide some professional development for how that can be done effectively and efficiently at the building as well as the district level, but then also to kind of find champions at each building that can do what, you know, Abby does, because Abby cannot be effective at all of the different buildings as well as the district. So how can we continue to provide support, develop champions at the building that are just as proud of talking about what's happening at their building and getting the good word out. So that'll be a big part of our efforts. Then, of course, the construction projects. And so as we're nearing final completion of the stadium project, we're head over heels into the next project, which is the FEMA Tornado Safe Team Room project, which Randy will talk about here in a minute. And at around about the same time, we also have a massive project, renovation project at the high school for CTE and science. And then at the same time as we got all those things going on, and hopefully those two projects will be rolling off the shelf, you know, sometime late spring, definitely in the summer, and completed sometime in the fall. We're also in the early stages of talking about Miller Middle School as it relates to conducting a facilities assessment, finding out what all the needs and what would be necessary in order to truly make that facility 21st century teaching and learning space. And if once we have that assessment, trying to figure out what the best course of action for the district is to move forward in improving Miller. So those will be the types of things that I'll be reporting out on for my goals.
Any questions for Theron on his proposed goals or comments?
No, I think they're very clear. I like the direction we're going.
And then as far as board goals, tried to incorporate the stuff that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, at the work session, and take the feedback from our board self-evaluation. I mean, the main goal areas are very similar to last year's goal areas. You know, the intention tonight was to put them out there, you guys, to have a conversation if we want to have a conversation. If there's changes or tweaks, we can do that. So, any comments on the board goals?
I think they're clear and concise. They follow along with the superintendent's goals and the mission of the district, so.
And that was
they're
kind of
good.
the intention too, Bonnie, right? Is to those goals should be aligned with each other, right? I mean, we should be, yeah.
So are we off the hook with book studies?
No.
Number C.
We actually, hopefully we'll have one back this year. We just have to land on a book that we feel like people will benefit from and enjoy reading. And with 2 new board members coming on, I think it'll be really important. ISB's kind of changed their metrics for how they determine board learning goal, but they specifically in addition to their formal learning opportunities, they specifically mention board book studies. So hopefully we'll have one this year.
It'd be extra credit because it's not one of our goals.
Exactly.
Well, board will earn the IASB Team Learning Award, so
Yeah.
it may be integral to us being able to
To
do
be
that.
able to do that, yeah. Anything else from anybody? Okay. I think the intention is to have a conversation tonight, bring them back in 2 weeks for approval.
This was something that I just got reminded of by Gabby. We actually volunteered, or we continue to volunteer to host IASB workshops when and if desired, and usually about every 4 or 5 years that happens. Last year, I think they kind of got away from those regional meetings a little bit, I think, as they were retooling, and they put that summit into place that many of us attended. But we are actually going to host a regional workshop for IASB. Right now, we're planning to do it at the Black Box in the Orpheum in December. So once more is known on that, we'll get you the information.
Do we know the topic? We don't know what the topic will be yet.
No, they just asked us if we'd be willing to host a regional meeting, and we said yes, and we just had to give them a couple, we had to tell them where and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It'll either be at the Black Box or the high school library as it's been in the past. So hopefully Black Box.
Okay, if there's nothing else. Randy?
You're gonna bring these back at the next meeting?
I think that's the, yeah.
Okay.
We don't have to, we can approve them
No,
tonight.
well, that's what was on the agenda for tonight, was to approve. I'm fine either
But
way. I just want to make sure I get the notes.
We do
down.
have action on there if we want to go ahead and approve them, but if we prefer to wait and see if there's further input, that's
I
fine.
mean, it didn't seem like anybody had anything they wanted changed or adjusted. If that's the case, is there a motion to approve the 2023-24 superintendent and board goals as presented?
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Wall, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Board docs is being difficult. Here we go. Okay. The first of the next two items is just the next step in the process. I think you're all pretty familiar with it by now. This first one is for setting a public hearing for the Tornado Safe Room project. This falls in line with the timeline that was shared by Kevin and FEH to meet, as you recall, with the Tornado Safe Room, with it being partially FEMA funded. There's a strict timeline we're having to adhere to with this. So, excuse me, in front of you tonight is setting a public hearing for the next board meeting for this project on October 16th.
Questions? Is there a motion to approve the resolution tentatively approving the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated total costs for the Marshalltown Community School District Tornado Safe Room Project, and setting the time, date, and location for a hearing thereon, and further authorizing the notice of seeking competitive bids on said project, the hearing to be held at 5 p.m. October 16, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Wall, Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Similar for the next one, this is for the high school CTE project. Similar to what we did with the stadium. As you'll recall, we're gonna break out the HVAC portion due to the lead times on the equipment. Originally, we were going to have this hearing first part of September, and we had actually set a date for that time, but KCL came back and said that they were not ready with the specs for the equipment yet. So we are now ready to move forward with that piece, and then I believe probably within the next board meeting or two, based off of the FEH timeline, we'll be doing a similar public hearing for the remainder of the CTE project. But to get a jump on the lead time for the HVAC equipment, we have that in front of you tonight for another public hearing on the 16th for that project.
Any questions for Randy? Then I need a motion to approve the resolution tentatively approving the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated total costs for the Marshalltown Community School District High School CTE HVAC project, and setting the time, date, and location for a hearing thereon, and further authorizing the notice of seeking competitive bids on said project, the hearing to be held at 5 p.m. October 16, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Lowry, Stanley. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Board policies.
And we have 3 policies coming back as a first reading. 603.1 Basic Instructional Program that Jan reviewed. 603.3 Special Education, which Jan reviewed. And then 802.05 Buildings and Sites Adaptation for Persons with Disabilities that we did not have as a policy, so we brought that forward from IASB to adopt, and we have not made any changes since you last saw these and we reviewed them, so I'd recommend approval with waiving the second reading.
Any questions about any of these policies? Not, we need a motion to amend 603.1 and 603.3 and waive the second reading.
So moved. Second.
Lowry, Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. And then we need a motion to adopt 802.05 and waive the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Stanley, Lowry, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Bonnie.
Okay, I had 5 policies here. 603.11 is on citizenship, and there was a minor grammatical error in that policy. It's been corrected. So we're suggesting mark as reviewed. Homework, 603.12, there were no changes at all. Recommend to mark as reviewed. 604.01, private education, there were no changes there either, so mark as approved. 604.03, the program for talented and gifted students. Once again, no changes, so mark as reviewed, just moving forward. 604.05, religion-based exclusion from a school program. This policy has been definitely reworded, and from IASB, the language, it's being suggested that we adopt the language that they have for their particular policy there, or for this particular policy. And so it would be recommended that we take a real good look at that and have it come back for a first reading. But once again, the first 4 policies, mark as reviewed and move forward with them. And 604.05, come back for a first reading.
Any questions for Bonnie? 603.11, 603.12, 604.01, and 604.03 will be marked as reviewed, and 604.05 will come back for a first reading to amend. Thanks, Bonnie.
Yep.
Reminder, Zach, you've got policy reviews for the October 16th meeting. And that will be the first meeting where we start our building presentations, right? So Franklin will be here to present at that meeting. There are committee meetings coming up, so
We'll be pushing out a schedule also for the board curriculum minutes in conjunction with those presentations. And we did have I guess you could call it the facilities subcommittee. We had a couple members that participated in the kickoff meeting that we had on Miller Middle School last week. And we just kind of talked a little bit openly about hopes and dreams for, what we would like to see Miller become as far as a teaching and learning space. And there will be a team of individuals that, from Boyd Jones and engineers, as well as some of our key people that will be doing a walkthrough from 10 to 4 on Monday, October 9th, the day of the professional development, to do at least an on-site facilities assessment. They've had the architectural plans from Todd for some time, and they have the digital maps that we most recently created as part of the safety initiative. But the ball got rolling with the initial kickoff meeting. Randy was part of that as well, Shauna, Abby.
There was also internal communications meeting was that last Friday?
Yes. Anything on the top of your head with that, Shauna? I can look it up here to. Pull the agenda up.
Yes, it was.
22nd.
Looks like we had questions around like open positions, and Nora gave a update on her open interviews, and then just like how many special education positions we still have open and how that's impacting special education teacher rosters.
I think we had some discussion around the topic of seniority lists and asking about certain like categories, if people were in positions that were funded by certain categorical dollars, like at risk and stuff like that. How does that, or move into positions, how does that affect seniority? So we kind of walked through those types of things. We also talked about if two people were hired during the same year and there is a needed change, how does it determine, who would be changed or who wouldn't, and that sort of thing. Like you said, we talked about unfilled positions and open positions, and there was a lot of excitement for especially the support positions on the heels of the walk-in interviews that were held, and the number of people, I think there were upwards of 50 people that came in and interviewed for a variety of positions over the 2 days that our HR office offered that.
Key cards. That was a question. How do we get
Did we
updated
get
key cards?
replacement key cards?
Yeah. It's a pretty quick fix. I updated, so our instructional coaches are going to be working with all teachers. So we have a rotation where our instructional coaches will be doing coaching cycles with not only at our comprehensive schools, but this is another one of those everybody will be doing, engaging with coaches. So I actually had brought that to the MEA to make sure they were kind of on board with that. And so far, so good. Our teachers are looking at that as an opportunity to grow their practice. And I think our instructional coaches need to prioritize their time in classrooms. So I think it's a win-win all around.
I think Nora talked a little bit about, we had really impressed upon our staff, our employees, to do everything within their power to be at work regularly, and not, hopefully we're on the backside of needing to miss as much for illness and that sort of thing. And we've really had a good start to the year, many fewer people gone, people taking advantage of being gone for an hour or two instead of a whole day for medical things and that sort of thing. And then Nora also mentioned her intent and desire to get out into the buildings proactively this year, and ask for MEA's help to communicate that that's a good thing, and just because she's around, and doesn't mean that someone's in trouble or, that sort of thing. So, no, I thought it was a great meeting kicking off the school year, and we had some productive discussions.
Agree.
Okay. Well, what have we done this evening? Oh, wait, back up. Any other items for future agendas? Okay. What have we done this evening to improve education for the students in Marshalltown?
I really like to hear about the two schools that need improvement, but the fact that overall, we're looking at a district as a whole. I mean, at least all our elementaries are on board to adding to their toolbox, or, I like that.
It sounds like the DEA is actually helping us, right? I mean,
Yep,
so
the DE,
lots of,
yep.
the DE, not DEA.
Not the DEA.
The DE. Sorry, strike that from the record. The DE. That's a different acronym. Yeah, the Department of Ed. Is that, lots of times you hear, oh, you get it in business too, we're from corporate, we're here to help you. And they just make you run more reports and sit there and keep their finger on you and aren't actually adding value to the
Right.
conversation. And so it's good to hear that they are adding value to the conversation. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that tie-in and that connection helps change the outcome down the road. Even if it seems weird that it would be able to with just some behind the scenes formula that's being used, but they know how that formula is being calculated, and usually that closeness can help improve the way you would see those scores progress in the future. And so hopefully that's the outcome we can achieve together working with them.
We are really, I will be surprised if both of those scores don't increase in December, because I know what our scores are. It's all based off of last year, if that makes sense. The key is going to be keeping it on that.
Right.
Because we don't get, it's year 3, whatever that is that year.
Correct. It's not an average, it's year 3, whatever your score is. That determines whether or not you're comprehensive.
And Shauna, you sort of barely mentioned it in passing, but the DE is going to pay for our math adoption?
They are.
Money.
Yeah.
Got it, that's exciting.
Yeah. Anything else from anybody? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Lowry Hernandez, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We are adjourned.
Zach, is it the next meeting you're going to be on?
November 20th, right?
Thanksgiving time.
Thanksgiving.